Uh, Hi guys, my name is Sanjay, and I'll be showing you today some amazing games of Capablanca, the endgame master. So, everyone knows about Capablanca. He was one of the best chess players in the world. So, for the first game, I'm going to show you here a game between Nimzovich and Capablanca. Now, Nimzovich was also one of the topmost chess players of the world, and uh, this is both the players, Nimzovich and Capablanca, figured in the top 10 players during the early 20th century. So let's start here. Uh, we shall start with the games very soon. Uh, Please give me a minute. Okay, so let's start the game. Here, white is Nimzovich and black is Capablanca. White goes e4 and black goes c6. That's known as Caro-Kann defense. Here the plan is simple. Uh, Black is waiting for white to control the center, and once the center is controlled, black will also try to take half the share of the center. So white plays d4 and black plays d5. Uh, Here, let me flip the board because Capablanca is black. So yeah. So let's see now how he continues the game over here. After Caro-Kann defense, white plays e5. That's the advanced variation of Caro-Kann defense. And black goes bishop f5. That's a variation in Caro-Kann defense. Here white plays bishop d3. That's opposing the opponent's bishop. And he's offering a trade of the bishop. So here black accepted the trade, black as in Capablanca, and white played here queen takes d3. Um, in this position now, black has played e6. He's kind of created a big pawn chain, which is of f7, e6, d5, c6, and b7. As you can see, kind of a pyramid. Okay, so here white continues with knight c3, and black gets his queen out early in this position. Um, Usually bringing the queen out early not a is not a good thing, but here it's fine because the queen is not getting attacked except the knight, which can come on a4, but then of course queen can always give a check and attack the knight back. So that's not such a good thing for white to do, attacking the queen right away. So here uh, white plays knight g e2. That's developing the second knight, the king's knight, on e2. There are variations where the knight can be developed on f3, but here let's see what happens. There's a reason for white to develop the knight on e2. Maybe he wants to come later on to f4 or g3. Um, so in this position here, black plays c5. That is attacking the center. He's attacking the central pawn, and this is a very important move. This is a very important move, and here black can he's asking for a trade of the pawns, and black accepts the trade. He goes pawn captures pawn, and black also accepts the pawn. Bishop takes c5 here. Also, as you can see, queen and bishop both are attacking this pawn on f2. So this is a battery, and here of course white has to save the pawn. So in this position white castles. uh, is it clear I'm not sure if my stream is clear. Just if you can please hold on, guys. I need to make sure if my stream is clear. Uh, uh, just a minute. I need to know if the stream is clear. Okay, so in this position, white has just castled. Sorry for the interruption. Uh, Here black plays knight e7. He's developing the knight, bringing the knight out and ready to do castling on the king side. And white goes here. White has a very important move here. He wants to take the bishop. He wants to trade the bishop for a knight, so he goes here, knight a4. Now, knight a4 is attacking the queen and the bishop at the same time, so queen has to move, of course. Queen moves, and queen is attacking the knight on a4, but white decides, of course, as that's the intention for white to play knight a4. He wants to take the bishop. He took the bishop, and queen takes knight. Here, after this, white has played bishop e3, and bishop is attacking the queen. White gains a tempo here by playing a move this way. So in this position, it's black's turn, and he has to go to the right square, because anywhere else he goes, his queen may get attacked again. So he goes queen c7, and that's a good move because the queen is coming on a square where she's attacking this pawn. So this is how one can save the move of retreating. When you retreat, you have to, if possible, you try to attack something. So this is what Capablanca did. He retreated and he attacked the pawn. After this, white has to save the pawn, of course, and we have two legends playing with each other. Of course, they cannot make a mistake of dropping a pawn here and there. So white goes f4. He saves the pawn in a very efficient manner. He saves the pawn by playing f4 and even activating his rook on f1. Knight f5. Black knight is going over there to attack the bishop. He wants to maybe trade the bishop for the knight. We shall see whether that's the intention. And here white plays, yes, black is also threatening here. Knight takes bishop, queen takes, and then queen c2. That is the threat. So white here addresses that threat by playing c3, and so also white is offering here the bishop. He doesn't mind if black captures the bishop for the knight, but he wants to save that pawn on c2. So he's played it to c3. Black develops the second knight over here on a good square, and white plays here. White's development is already over since his rooks are connected, and white plays here rook a d1. That's controlling more of the d file, and black plays here g6. Now g6 is played here. Usually, I mean, most of the people here would have done castling here. A lot of people, a lot of grandmasters also would have done here castling. So here but Capablanca has not played that. He's played g6. Okay, so in this position here, g4 has come. That is to dislodge the knight from its good square. Knight was on a good outpost, and g4 just forces the knight to make the decision whether he wants to go to h4 or he wants to kill this bishop. So here black plays knight takes bishop, and white has played queen e3. In this position, a lot of people would have done here castling. A lot of players would have done castling, but black has a very attacking move. Uh, could you find out what attacking move Capablanca played? I'll just give some time so you guys can guess what is the move. Okay, so the move here is h5, and here this is a very attacking move. Black is trying to open his rook file and activate his rook, which will be really good. That's Capablanca, and here white of course will not allow that to happen, so he closes down that file because a lot of things are coming after hx g4. um, say for example here white plays h3, or even pawn captures pawn. This would lead to an attack on white's king side, so white would definitely try to shut the king side, shut the black's rook pawn. So he plays g5, so the rook is shut actually. So here uh, black tried to open the rook, but since white closed down that, black finally castled king side. And here white played knight to d4. White is asking for a trade, and in this position black plays queen b6. Now that's there are two things which are happening here simultaneously. The queen is pinning down this knight, and second thing is of course the queen is also attacking the pawn on b2. So here white has to reply um, a very satisfactory move. In this position he can, of course he will have to save this pawn. That is also important, and black has stopped his white knight from moving. So here white plays rook f2, that saves the b2 pawn, and black here plays rook f c8. And in this position white has he played here a3. a3 is the move, and black here thinks about doubling his rooks. So yeah, well, that's maybe that was the thought when black played rook to c7. Probably that was a that could have been a plan, but let's see what happens. White played rook to d3, and black black realizes here that he has some good squares which he can take advantage of, particularly this square on c4, which can be uh, you know used by black's knight. So he goes knight a5, and here white can go rook e2, and black plays rook e8. So as you saw, initially we thought black is going to double the rooks, but maybe he changed his mind, or yeah, that no one can be sure of what Kepa had in his mind during that time. here king g2, white has played king g2, and black comes back with his knight. That's a retreat. He does not go on to c4 because let's say knight to c4. Um, Probably here black thought he will not get much advantage, which is a fact. Here the thing is, knight is attacking b2 and the queen, but queen has to just go to a square where she's protecting the b2 pawn. For example, in this position she can go queen c1 or even queen f2. So that's the reason black changed his mind, perhaps, to not go over there, and he played here knight c6, going back again to this square. In this position here, white plays rook e d2, that's doubling the rooks, and here rook e c8 has come, that's doubling the rooks too for black. White played here rook to e2. Now rook to e2 is just supporting the queen so the knight can move. Earlier the knight could not have. Here in this position, yes, the knight can still move, but rook e2 is has come here. Maybe it's just a waiting move, and knight e7 has happened. The idea behind knight e7 can be knight f5. Here rook d2 again, so it was a waiting move for white, just switching the squares, going on to e2 and then going back to d2. So in this position black plays rook to c4. Here white plays queen h3, and here white has come to the king side to attack, but of course black's all the things here are blocked. For example, there is no way this chain can be broken unless there is some kind of a sacrifice, which is not happening right now. If white sacrifices anything, well, it will lead to a loss for white. So in this position, here your king g7, rook f2, and a5, e2. So a5 is basically, of course, a move which can, the plan here would be to move this queen, and then say, for example, the queen can be moved here and the pawns can be rolled. So that can be one of the plan over here. Okay, so in this position black goes knight f5, and he's asking for a trade. White trades the knight, gx f5. Now this is a very, very important decision by black. Here which pawn to give. Actually both the either side of the pawn is dying, so knight f5 was the move which we would look at here. Knight f5, and in this position knight takes knight, and you see if he kills this way, then this pawn is going, and if he kills this way, then so also, but black has here, black can also get this f4 pawn. We shall see that. So black has sacrificed one of the pawns for f4, depending on white, which pawn does he want. Here gx f5 happened, so black is offering the h5 pawn. Queen f3, white does not accept the pawn here. For example, if white takes the pawn, queen takes pawn, then he's in a very bad position. Let's see what happens if he takes this pawn. There would come rook h8 attacking the queen, queen to f3, and here black has rook h4, a very important move. And you can see now this pawn is gone, and uh, uh, that's a very crucial important pawn, and once that pawn goes, the game is almost uh, you know, slipping out of white's hands. So in this position, here uh, this never happened. Q x h5 was a wrong move. Okay, so going back to the game, queen in this position he played queen f3, and here black plays black wants to save his pawn, and well, anyway, right now white cannot take the pawn, but black just brings the king excuse me, black just brings the king out a little further ahead and protects the pawn, and king is quite safe over there, so black is not worried about that. Rook e d2 comes, and in this position black enters inside the kingdom, inside the center square, and he will try to infiltrate his destination square. His destination square can be e1. We shall see what happens. In this position rook d4 has happened, and this is not a good move by white. Here rook d4 is not good because black can simply do one of the two things. The thing is, either black gets the open file, he gets to open the C file, or then he gets a pawn. One of the two things here. For example, here he plays in this position. Here Capablanca missed one good move. Capablanca played rook c4, but he can play here rook takes rook, and you see now if he kills this with the pawn, if the rook is killed with the pawn, we have the rook file, the file, sorry, is opened up for the rook. Here if he kills, of course he cannot kill with the rook because queen takes pawn is happening, so he would have forced open the C file, which would have been a good advantage for him. So here in this position black plays rook c4 and queen f2. Okay, queen f2, and here black plays queen b5, and instead of queen b5 he also, queen b5 is a good move, and the other option which black has is rook c takes d4. That's one other good move by black. Queen b5 happens here, and white has played king g3. Now that's the mistake what Nimzowitsch, the great legend, he made this mistake over here. Let's see why is this a mistake. In this position king to g3 happened, and black plays over here rook cx d4, and cx d4 happened, and then black is playing queen c4. Here the king is quite exposed, and he's going to take advantage of that fact. King goes back. Well, that's what even Nimzowitsch was, he realized that he's made a mistake, and he got the king back to g2. And here